You're probably wondering, how much does it cost to replace it? First of all, this is not the first time I got this. This is actually like the third time. So I've replaced many front windshields. And typically, if you get it from Tesla, it's about $1,200 after labor. And you do want to, get it done by Tesla mainly because there's an autopilot calibrating that needs to happen right up here. But before I get there, this has been with me for a couple months actually. But I want to see, if I can fix it. It said that your crack or whatever, damage you have cannot be bigger than 1 inch. So I got here, that is literally under an inch. And you're probably wondering, gee, why don't you do like windshield protection, PPF? There is a product like that. I think there's brands like ExoShield, S-Tech. One of the things that I didn't quite like was there is some distortion. If you guys want to see it, let us know in the comments below. Let's get started right away and let's try to learn how to do this. So this I got from Amazon for like less than 20 bucks. I think it was like 15 bucks or something like that. Really, really cheap. It essentially has a resin, and the resin with pressure, you clean it all and then it goes through and fills in those gaps. Is it gonna look perfect? Absolutely not. You're still gonna see the damage a little bit. But why are you doing this? What this does is it actually prevents from further cracking if you get it early enough. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to erase this because this is pretty nasty looking. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it up, read instructions. I'm just kidding, you should read that instruction. But instructions, step 1 is remove loose glass fragments by scraping over it with a razor blade. Affix the applicator base to the windshield, make sure the ring is center above the brake. So essentially you would put this around and try to center it in that damage. Screw the resin chamber into the center ring. So it's this one right here. So there's a rubber mouth right here, and that goes right down to that crack. Squeeze 3 to 6 drops of repair resin, depending on the extent of the damage, into the resin chamber. So what you're doing is you're putting enough pressure so that it's not escaping out and it's going inside those crevices, right? To determine the repair resin has been absorbed into the brake, look at the glass from an angle of about 45. So we need to put this in direct sunlight for 5 to 10 minutes, then remove the curing strips and then use the razor blade again. Okay, awesome. And what they said to do is just make sure that I clean that out a little bit, right? So just making sure. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it first with our glass cleaner. I just wanna make sure that my surrounding areas is clean. All right, so, cool. And then try to center this on the actual, cool. So I've centered the apparatus in there. And then after that, I'm gonna be putting this. And they said to turn it until it's actually right on touching it. So you're putting some pressure down. You're gonna be using this resin. Caution, eye and skin irritant. Read carefully other cautions and back. Doesn't sound very good. They were talking about 3 to 6 drops. I'm gonna go ahead and put 6 drops just because that's a lot of crack. All right, so 6 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so once that's there, you're going to be going to put this process right here and you're gonna push it in. And they said to also look at it from the inside. Okay. It looks like I need to put a little bit more. I didn't really see it go in that much. Okay, so what they said to do too is make sure you release it. And then I believe you push out more air into it. And that should help displace any bubbles or air. It actually does look a lot better. And you're gonna go ahead and just kind of loosen that first. That's what they ask you to do. And they're going to grab these tabs. There you go. You see those little fun tabs right here? You're going to go ahead and remove that. And then areas that it's still visible, that there's actually some cracks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some resin in those cracks, just drops. And then also the areas. And we're going to go ahead and just leave it like that. We're going to put this outside just for about 5 to 6 minutes, and then we're going to bring the car back in. So we'll see in a little bit. So we're back in here, and I can already see there are some air pockets, which means I probably need to put just a little bit more. But what you want to do is just grab that and just go ahead and take it out. And what you want to do is actually use that razor blade, and they tell you to use it at a 90-degree angle. And be careful about scratching the glass. You're just going to go ahead and clean all this excess off. So I'm going to go ahead and clean all that out. You should be able to get a decently clean result, hopefully. So I'm going to go ahead and put some more, and I'm going to be using this one over here. Just going to put it right here. So you can see over here, there's some air pockets right there. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit more since there's more air pockets. Really try to just put that in there. And then we're going to go ahead and put it outside and let it bake for another 5-6 minutes. So this is the second time I've put it outside. Once you get it, I have some residue, and you're going to just use the same razor blade. Great. So I'm looking at this, and it really looks a lot better, honestly. I mean, yeah, there's some remnants of it, but you can tell that it does in fact look a little bit better already. All right, so one thing right now is I'm getting a lot of bubbles, and there's actually 2 different areas that I'm getting bubbles. So what I'm going to try to do this time, center that, try to put this through, make sure this is off. Just going to put a couple drops here. And I'm just going to leave that. And the reason why I'm doing this is, again, I'm not an expert, so this isn't necessarily how-to, right? The video is really, does this actually work? Why are we doing this? And it's not trying to make this perfect. That's not the point. What you're trying to do is just fill that gap in so that it no longer cracks, or you can prevent it. And the best way to cure this is really to do it as soon as it happens, right? So if it's not a big one, go ahead and fill it in, and it literally costs $10 to $20. And once you are done, you could go ahead and just loosen that up. And once that's loosened, you can go ahead and there's these little pins like that. That actually did really good for that one. So the next step is really to do it for the other hole. I had 2 holes that was kind of persistent. And for the other one, what I did really well, I think, is that I really pushed that in there and made sure there was no space for it to escape. And we're going to wait another 4 or 5 minutes. And you can see it's definitely better, I think. But lastly, what you want to do is kind of get that last layer. Just clean that out. So I've done this over and over again, and it's okay. It wasn't that bad. The instructions weren't that great. And one thing I didn't quite like about it is this thing didn't do as good of a job as I thought it would. I don't know if it did a great job of sealing that area, which meant that it was harder for the resin to kind of like bleed in. Of course, this may be a really, really deep one, but I feel like it still should have done a better job. But it is a lot more sealed, which will prevent it from cracking. One time what happened was it actually started here and it went all the way to the autopilot region, and that's why I had to get it replaced, and I didn't fix it early enough. So again, does this look great? I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't look good at all. It's kind of like right in my line of sight. So I'll probably get this replaced. But hopefully, maybe if you have it like closer to here or something like that, or maybe out of line of sight somewhere elsewhere, it's worth the fix. So am I happy with the result? I think so, for especially like 10 bucks. I think that was on Amazon. We'll put some links of some recommendations, but we are gonna show you some better footages and close-ups from the inside as well, so you guys can see. We'll see you next time.